This program contains content that may offend some viewers.
Attention shoppers! Tonight on the checkout, Kirsten asks, what if hotel booking websites aren't good news for consumers? Ben looks into the future of consumer rights online beyond 2000. And it's Dick Smith closing down madness in FUtube as Jules looks at gift cards, the gift that doesn't keep on giving.
Back in the day, if you were looking for a place to stay, you had to ask each hotel about vacancies and room rates.
I say, is there any room at the inn?
No.
But now, there are dozens of online hotel booking sites that instantly show you where rooms are available and how much they'll cost. Hotel booking sites all make the same basic promise.
Book your next escape with Expedia and you can save.
Find the best price in seconds at hotelscombined.com.
With so many rooms at such great rates, why not when you can what if?
But what if hotel comparison sites don't get us a better deal? See, originally, these sites were just a way for hotels to list their unused rooms at a discount. So they'd get some money for rooms that would otherwise be empty, and travellers could get cheaper accommodation.
Any accommodation at this point would be great.
But pretty soon, booking sites became a major source of business for hotels. According to the ACCC, some hotels depend on them for more than half their bookings. And as you'd expect, the booking sites take a cut. The thing is, the size of that cut has been steadily climbing. Since 2010, Expedia's commission rate has gradually grown from 9% to 15%, and others followed suit. Even beloved Australian startup What If, which back in 2011 bragged that hotels listed on its site were
not forced to pay commissions at levels dictated by international behemoths,
has recently raised its commissions to 15% too. Because that's the level dictated by Expedia, the international behemoth that bought What If for $700 million in 2014. By the way, this is exactly what the ACCC was warned would happen if they allowed the acquisition to go ahead. Today, about 85% of the market is owned by the same two companies, Expedia and Priceline Group. So, if you're using Booking.com or Hotels.com or Last Minute or Agoda or What If or Hotel Club, the results all come from these two providers. Expedia and Priceline Group also run two of the main meta search engines, Trivago and Kayak, that compare the comparison sites. And since hoteliers can't afford not to have their rooms listed on these sites, could they be jacking their prices up partly to make up for what they lose in commissions? Well, it depends on who you ask. One hotelier told The Checkout,
motel rates and travel costs are increasing because of the stranglehold of accommodation search engines.
But the booking sites argue that they
actively help keep prices lower for consumers
by being
a highly cost-effective marketing channel.
$112? How much is that in denarii?
Ugh, idiot. Hey, wise man, what do you make of all of this?
You can always call the hotel directly before making a booking through an online comparison site. They can often get you a better deal. Oh, and have some frankincense.
Worst baby shower ever.
Dude's right though. When we called a random selection of hotels across Australia, we found savings of up to 25% compared to the booking sites.
Book direct and save! Guaranteed best rate!
Ballsy move, given most booking sites make hotels agree to parity clauses like this one.
You agree that the rates you provide to Expedia will be equal to or better than those made available through your own or any third-party channels.
Now, these parity clauses are meant to stop hotels from offering you better rates. But some hotel chains get around them by offering discounts through loyalty schemes.
It might be worth joining one of these loyalty programs, especially if you're a frequent traveller. Sure, they might share your data with third parties, but they generally promise better deals, including perks like free hotel Wi-Fi.
Hey, wise man, aren't you supposed to give us some gold or something?
Free Wi-Fi is worth much more than gold.
Meanwhile, in Germany last year, parity clauses were banned by their competition regulator, the Bundeskartellamt, which, can I just say, not only sounds heaps cooler than the ACCC, but also has a way better logo. I mean, just look at it. It's a badass eagle with mad talons, flexing its guns and looking like a boss. And I mean, like, I'm not saying we should always follow Germany's lead, but I mean, come on, ACCC, this is lame.
It's not that bad.
So, Germany recently banned parity clauses. Why? Because
they limit competition between the existing portals as well as competition between the hotels, and there is no apparent benefit for the consumer.
And the French soon followed suit.
We also think they are shit.
The ACCC is currently looking into the impact of parity clauses. In the meantime, we at The Checkout, on behalf of Australian consumers, would like to put forward our view.
They suck!
So we really hope you ban them here too. Oh, and get a better logo.
You can talk.
Now, despite all of these problems, there are some benefits to using hotel booking sites. For example, some of them offer things like car hire and flight packages along with accommodation. They sometimes offer great special deals that you can't find elsewhere.
Hey, look at this. A 40% off mystery hotel deal. 5 stars, spa in the ensuite, and Foxtel. Whatever that is.
And they're quick and convenient to use.
Oh, just look at Joe.
Which doesn't mean you won't run into any issues.
The good news is your consumer rights still protect you. So if you have any issues with a room paid for through a booking site, like for example if it doesn't match the description...
Hey, where's the spa bath?
The booking site is responsible. They should resolve any issues and give you a refund if necessary. Don't let them fob you off to the hotel. Oh, good job, lady. Here's your Mer.
Oh, I can't wait for them to invent gift cards.
Remember the Works chair we designed?
Oh yeah, the one with the industrial look and a funky modern edge.
Did we design it with an entrapment and laceration hazard that can cut off your toes?
Look, we designed so many chairs, I honestly can't remember. Jenny, do you remember the Works chair? Actually, entrapment and laceration hazard does ring a bell.
If you bought the Works dining chair, contact Fantastic Furniture to get these free anti-laceration plugs. For the stool. Or you can return it for a full refund.
If you're strapped for cash, then setting up a house can seem impossible. So instead of buying products, you might consider a consumer lease to get the things you need. Woo! So the things you need. Oh. You can hire appliances from Radio Rentals, Mr. Rentals, and plenty of others.
Here you go, yours for 2 years, son, here.
Weird. The fortnightly payments may seem quite manageable, but you need to figure out how much you're spending over the whole contract, because it can be heaps. Like, way more than the retail price.
Like this much more than the retail price.
So when Radio Rentals say that you can buy the product for $1 at the end of the lease, that's not quite as generous as it seems.
Just $1 more.
And what if you're really strapped for cash, like you're on Centrelink? After all, these companies specifically target welfare recipients.
I'm on benefits and I got a fair go.
Sorry, I thought that clip was going to be longer. And lending to welfare recipients isn't even a risk for these companies. There's a thing called Centrepay that allows the government to pay Centrelink benefits directly to the rental companies, which makes the leases a lot less risky.
Yeah, less risk.
Less risk for the rental company. Around 50% of radio rentals' earnings comes through Centrepay, and ASIC and RMIT even found that some of these companies are charging Centrelink recipients more than their other customers. ASIC found that if customers weren't on Centrelink, they could end up paying more than triple the retail cost on a 2-year lease. But for Centrelink customers, they could end up paying more than 10 times the retail cost. Of course, if you don't have the money to pay up front, that can be a real problem. So what can you do? Well, there's a good chance that it'll be cheaper to put it on a credit card. And in fact, you may even be, hang on, Sorry, there seems to be a mistake here. It says that sometimes the lease can work out to be worse than a payday loan.
No, that's right.
What are you kidding?
No, payday loans have been regulated. There's actually a limit to how much they can charge. So while you still get ripped off, it'll be less of a rip-off.
That can't be right.
Afraid so. RMIT found Centrelink recipients were charged between 2 and 5 times as much as your maximum payday loan.
Oh, sorry, I can't argue with the graph. Let's keep going. So for Centrelink clients, getting a consumer lease may actually be worse off than getting a payday loan. I feel sick. A better option is to apply to the no-interest loan scheme, which covers essential goods like washing machines and fridges, not hoverboards.
Damn it!
Or if you're on Centrelink, you can arrange an advance on future payments, which you then pay back with regular deductions, but without the fees and interest. If you're still considering a consumer lease, though, maybe you should pause, rewind and rewatch this segment. Or at the very least, compare the cost of the lease to the cost of retail. ASIC have set up a rent versus buy calculator to help you work it out easily. Because you shouldn't have to pay more just because you have less.
Thanks.
Hey!
Whee!
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the show. If you aren't, don't contact the ABC, just press this complaints button right here on your screen. Thanks, we'll take that on board, suckers. Here at the Checkout, our best resource is you, the viewer. Checkout viewers not only send us great YouTube videos and examples of product versus pack shot, but we also use some of you as furniture.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Alex. Shut up, desk.
Now, we want to make it even easier for you to get involved in the checkout by telling you about some of the issues that we're looking into at the moment. So if you've got any problems at all with private health insurance, buying a new home off the plan, or weddings or tattoos or anything else for that matter, then drop us a line at tipoff@thecheckout.tv or via Facebook or Twitter. And if you want to be Craig's new desk, email us there too.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Beyond 2000. Later in the program, Kirsten will be looking at the future of pants and asking, what if we put lights on them? But first, let's go shopping with Alex. Now, Alex, I've got to say, it doesn't much look like we're in a shop.
Ha! No, Ben, it doesn't. But we are in a shop on the World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web? Well, that sounds like a shop for spiders.
It does, but it isn't. You can use a computer to make purchases, just like you're in a shop, but electric.
That sounds confusing. What happens if something goes wrong?
When you shop online from an Australian business, all your usual consumer rights still apply.
Well, that is a relief.
So, for instance, I've just ordered a Shiraz from an online business right here in Australia.
A cyber Shiraz, perhaps.
Just a regular Shiraz. And here it is.
Your delivery, ma'am.
Now, of course, it isn't really that fast.
Well, not yet.
And here we go. Look, this isn't what I ordered at all. I'd say this constitutes a major problem. So, under the Australian consumer law, I'm entitled to a replacement or a refund. it's my choice.
Yes, but certainly it doesn't apply to online purchases.
I literally just said that it did. Take this back.
That will be $20 for robo-postage.
Okay, I may have to pay the shipping costs for returning goods up front, but if it's a major failure, I'm entitled to recoup any reasonable costs I incur while returning the purchases. So you have to pay me back.
That's not our returns policy.
It doesn't matter. Go.
Of course, ma'am. 1,000 internet apologies.
Now, you said major failure. What if it's a minor failure, the kind we had last week with Kirsten's business rollerblades?
The meeting of the future.
If the problem is minor, the seller can choose whether to refund, repair or replace, and you may have to pay the cost of postage.
Gosh, well, I'm glad that I've got until the year 2000 to work all this out. But let me ask you, what about if it's an overseas business? It is, after all, the World Wide Web.
Parastriker.
The Australian consumer law could still apply. It's a very grey area. But asserting your consumer rights can be difficult. And that goes for any online purchase. So the ACCC recommends you should only buy online from a seller
who has a good reputation, has clear processes for refunds, repairs and dealing with problems, and has a secure site and payment system.
There are other ways of purchasing goods using an electric computer, and for that, let's go to Andy.
Hey Ben, have you ever been to a garage sale?
Yes, that's where I bought my garage.
Well, now garage sales are inside your computer, where regular people can buy and sell things on internet websites like the Electronic Bay.
Goodness, but what happens if something goes wrong when you're shopping on the Electronic Bay?
Well, if you're buying from a private seller, you know, a regular member of the public like us.
No, I'm a celebrity.
Then the consumer law doesn't apply.
Well, that's very interesting. Good luck, Andy.
But if the trader on the Electronic Bay is a business, even if it's just a person working out of their garage, then the consumer law does apply. Either way, if something goes wrong, you can contact the seller and ask them to fix it. You might even want to use electronic mail. Dear Sir.
Lol, get bent, chump.
But there might be another way of getting your money back.
If you used a credit or a debit card to make your online purchase and it never arrived, wasn't as described, or was damaged, then you may be eligible for something called a chargeback.
Well, that certainly sounds like a thing.
It is. But chargebacks work differently for different cards, so make sure you check your card's rules for eligibility, how to make a claim and time limits. Don't wait too long to make your complaint.
And you won't have to wait long to see the future of toasting coming up. Extraordinary stuff.
It's also extraordinary that when you use PayPal to buy online, the PayPal Buyer Protection Policy covers things like being charged for purchases you never made, an order that doesn't arrive, or an order that's significantly different to what's described. So that might be an easier way of getting a refund too.
Well, I think we're all ready for the future now.
Especially me. Of course, if there's nothing wrong with your online purchase, but you just don't like it, because, say, the clothes you ordered aren't so great, there is a chance that you could still return them. Check the retailer's returns policy, especially what it says about eligibility and shipping costs.
With online shopping, consumers have a world of opportunity to look forward to.
Oh, World Wide Web of them.
But you can prevent tomorrow's problems today by taking simple precautions. Ask yourself, if I buy online from this seller, how difficult would it be to deal with the problem?
Because even beyond 2000, things can still go wrong.
Malfunction, malfunction, destroy mode.
Power Force Heavy Duty Hand Cleaner. Tough on dirt, gentle on hands.
What do we do before we eat lunch?
This is the way we wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands. This is the way we...
Safety directions. Avoid contact with eyes and skin. Power Power Force Heavy Duty Hand Cleaner. It's untouchable.
Hi there, and welcome back to our consumer complaint segment, F YouTube. Yep, back for a 4th year. That's a real testament to how ineffective our first 3 years were. And our first F YouTuber for this year is David.
Hey, check out. Love the show.
Thanks, David.
But my wife hates it.
And they say the ABC's not balanced. Anyway, David noticed some changes in the freezer that he bought a few years back.
I'm worried that it's confused about its identity. All this beeping. I think he thinks he's a microwave.
Well, look, David, maybe your freezer's just transitioning and it's important to be supportive at what can be a very challenging time. Or maybe it's just a shit freezer. Anyway, David contacted the store where he got the freezer and said, but they said he should go away and contact the manufacturer, Miele, about the problem. When David queried that, they even claimed that Harvey Norman was not really the seller of the freezer.
I don't think that's correct. Is it?
You're right, David. Denying the store is the seller sounds like Harvey Norman made
a complete Miele, yes, Miele,
of it. The store where you buy goods is responsible for defects as well as manufacturers, even though the rules are a little different for purchases like yours from the BC era. That's before the consumer law started in January 2011. Sometimes it can be more efficient to go direct to the manufacturer, but stores shouldn't refuse to deal with a problem by palming you off to them. In the consumer law era, it's illegal to mislead someone about the consumer guarantees and your statutory rights. But you need to be aware of your rights, like David was, because staff in stores may not be. Indeed, a federal court order in January this year was the 10th time that a Harvey Norman franchisee has been fined for making misleading statements about consumer guarantees. Things like,
we do not do refunds or replacements. It's not in our terms or conditions. I can't give you your money back. All I can offer is an exchange or credit. It's not up to Harvey Norman to replace your laptop. Since it is still covered by the manufacturer's warranty, we can't help you.
You want me, Harvey?
Which is nearly enough for their own series of Law and Order. So it's a real problem. In fact, you could say,
it's Harvey Normus.
Of course, the problem's not just with Harvey Norman. It's not always intentional, and those fines do date back to incidents in 2012 or before. But David's recent experience shows that it can still happen. So there you go, David. I hope you're happy with that response.
Yep, I am. But my wife hates it.
Still, at the moment, it's probably better having a
Harvey Normus
problem than being
Dick Smith
around. All 393 Dick Smith stores are closing forever soon. So this is one of those times when contacting the manufacturer about product defects may be a better option. But the Dick Smith receivers have set up a consumer hotline which you can call to answer questions about things like faulty products or extended warranties. The hotline will operate for a year after stores close, and you can find it by Googling Dick Hotline, I hope. The receivers have said that refunds will be given under the consumer law, but for anyone who got a Dick Smith gift card for Christmas, it really was the thought that counted. Because on the 4th of January, Dick Smith stopped accepting gift cards. So you can understand the anger of mums like Kathy and Bernadette, not to mention their sons. Losing credit when a store goes bust is just one of the pitfalls of gift cards for consumers. You can see our full story on this issue at thecheckout.tv or on iView Now. Even though you buy a physical card in the store, gift cards aren't goods. They're classified as financial services, and unfortunately, the consumer law guarantees don't apply to them. That's especially bad news for people with unusually valuable gift cards. People like Ebony.
My sister for Christmas decided to buy me a new Samsung phone. I returned the phone to Dick Smith. Dick Smith then said that because it was a change of mind policy, that I would have to accept gift cards. So I've got $769 worth of Dick Smith gift vouchers.
And she got the cards just 3 days before Dick Smith went into receivership. Poor Ebony. Literally.
Is there anything I can do?
Well, Ebony, Dick Smith gift card holders can register as unsecured creditors. And MoneySmart says that will result in you getting
a full refund, a partial refund, or no refund at all.
Which is either fully, partially, or not at all good news. But you might remember earlier on, before the year 2000 actually, we mentioned
something called a chargeback.
If a credit card was used for the purchase, you might be able to get your money back from the card provider. It should still be possible to claim a Visa chargeback for Dick Smith gift cards until early May 2016, even longer for MasterCard. Did your sister use a credit card, Ebony?
No, it was a debit card.
Bugger. Chargebacks aren't available for debit cards. And it was okay for Dick Smith to offer Ebony gift cards instead of a refund for her change of mind. But
attention shoppers!
If you get a refund under the consumer law, that's when there's a problem with goods or services, your refund has to match the way you originally paid. So unless you paid with a gift card, don't accept a gift card instead of a proper refund to avoid being Dick Smith around. And that goes for minor failures as well as major ones. If you bought a Dick Smith gift card from another retailer like Coles or Woolies, some will swap them for their own brand of gift card. Although, as Winnie discovered, conditions apply. But cheer up, Winnie. Kogan will swap any Dick Smith gift card for a $25 Kogan card. So thanks to Kogan, your $3,600 in Dick Smith gift cards can still buy you a happy crying face pillow, or a pig head, or an angry baby mask, or a crybaby, or a horror head. Good night.